Hi, my name's Gav and welcome to the channel. Look, with their heritage and prestige in the paragliding market, the Ozone Pocket Rocket is highly anticipated as being one of the best power wings on the market. Look, is this true? Is it right for you? And how does it compare against the rest? Well, if you stick around, you'll find out. As a reminder, the sole purpose for this channel is to raise money for Bear Cottage, the children's hospice based here in Sydney. They provide 24-hour, 7 days a week palliative care for paediatrics, and they need our help. By liking, subscribing and sharing this video, you really help generate a revenue through advertising. So please do your bit, it really helps us out. So on that note, I want to do a big shout out to the brands that support me on this mission, and that is North, Armstrong, WSS Boards, the Foilboard Company, and of course, Hydrofoil. Thank you very much, guys. Without you, I simply couldn't do this. And then lastly, I just want to mention that I have absolutely no affiliation whatsoever with Ozone. This is simply my views and my experiences of using a 3 meter for the last couple of weeks or so. I hope you get something out of it, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, spoiler alert, look, this list is going to be pretty long, so strap in and I'll try and rattle through it as quickly as possible. But I'd like to start off with the use of colour. Now, not all brands have got this right so far, and I can safely say that Ozone is the first big brand to get this right across the board. So different coloured leading edge along the whole length, so you know which part of the canopy to hold, tick. Each set of lines is individually coloured to make untangling easy, tick. Bar obviously coloured so you can quickly identify the top and the bottom, tick. So yes, Ozone have got the full house in terms of colour coordination to make your life easier. Trust me, this can be the difference between spending 20 minutes untangling lines or having a great session. Honestly, it makes such a difference to the on-water experience. This really needs to be the market standard going forward. So well done, Ozone, for holding the torch and leading the way. All the other brands out there, please follow the lead. Okay, so let's jump into the bar itself. And the first thing that you notice is the quality. It's light, functional, and very practical. They have thought of everything. Well, nearly everything, and I'll get onto that in a bit. But I love the ends. The lines never get tangled. The soft grip is comfortable with this really ergonomic fingertip grip across the entire bar. It's the perfect length. It's not too long so you can stow it away, but again, it's not too short so that flying it and steering it is easy, and there's still enough room to put accessories like harness lines on there. It's got a trimmable center line, which is connected securely so it won't move unintentionally, but you can adjust it as you see fit. It's perfect. I wouldn't change a thing apart from the fact that they don't have a leash attachment point. Again, we're seeing this with a lot of other brands. I understand that there is a divide between people that do and don't want to use a leash, but it'd be lovely to have an optional extra where you can just attach it on. It really is a small change. I hope that we see this going forward. In fact, I've actually modified it myself by putting a pigtail onto the brake lines where it meets the bar. If you put them onto the lines themselves, it could impact the pack away. So make sure that you put it onto the connection point between the lines and the bar. So let's jump into how it flies. And the first thing that came into my mind was stability, and the second one was control. It feels refined, balanced and tuned. It doesn't feel like a training kite. In fact, it feels like a performance race machine that you have absolute control over. It wants to fly and it stays where you put it. Now, this is echoed on the water, and the first thing that I notice is how silent it is. It is tuned, it is refined. There's no fluttering of the canopy. Even when it's completely depowered at the top end of its wind range, there is still control, stability, and efficiency. It doesn't lose its shape and it just flies perfectly. And this is the big difference between the Ozone and some of the other brands, is that it's completely tuned and locked in all points of sail. The Pocket Rocket slices through the wind like a well-trimmed sail should do. Now, interestingly, the natural position of the bar isn't horizontal like some of the other brands. There is a tendency for it to be slightly sheeted in at the backhand. Now, I mentioned this just to point out that the trimming angle is slightly different, and I just had to move my harness line slightly back to accommodate it. No big deal, it took about 10 seconds to get used to it, but it's just interesting to note that that trim position is very different to some of the other ones that I've used so far. Now, what I'm really interested in a Parawing is how well it goes upwind, how well it depowers, and how stable it is when it's flagged out. And then finally, how well it packs down. And the Ozone Pocket Rocket excels at all three of those. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that in my opinion, and in this snapshot in time, it is a market leader at all three of those elements. Now that's quite a statement considering some of the competitors out on the market, but for me, they've taken it to the next level in terms of performance and user friendliness. Now, being overpowered with the Pocket Rocket is a non-event. You can control it at the very top level, which gives you confidence to go out in really strong conditions. And for me, that's when the bumps are the best. I think this is due to the span-wise bridle, which gives the leading edge this stability that's unmatched in all wind conditions and in all points of sail. In fact, I physically couldn't get the canopy to collapse even in the strongest of conditions, and I think that screams volumes. There is zero wingtip deformation when you're going upwind. Again, thank you to this span-wise bridle. It allows the wing to point really high up into the wind window. When you're overpowered, it just wants to drag you even further into the eye of the wind, which is exactly what you want. Look, the low end is good. It's not as good as some of the others on the market, but for me, that's less of an issue because I can compensate for that with a bigger board, a bigger foil, or indeed more experience. But again, it is a market leader for its ability to pack away because they've used a super thin material. This isn't the standard Dacron that you see in kites. It's this double ripstop canopy material that they've used, which gives it that leading edge. I guess that brings up the question of the longevity and the durability of the product, but that's just something that we'll have to see with time. But right now, the product feels quality. It doesn't feel like it's weak. I've got a lot of confidence that it's going to last a long time. Another element that I really like about the Pocket Rocket is that it's easy to turn, it's user friendly, so beginners are going to have no problems flying it. And what's more is that you're not going to outgrow this product anytime soon because it's got bags of performance. And then lastly, I want to talk about some of the accessories. And first up, we have the bag itself. You can see on my left-hand side here, it's tiny and not in a bad way. By following the pack away instructions, you'll have no issues getting it into this tiny little bag, but the beauty of it is it packs away to next to nothing, so storage and traveling is an absolute joy. It's also one of the first brands I've seen to bring accessories out with the product itself, so you get stickers, you get repair tape, the type A, this awesome bottle opener, some spare canopy material, and of course some spare lines as well. This is important because there are going to be mishaps in the early days of Parawings, so to have this in your back pocket, I think it is essential. And then lastly, I want to talk about the stash belt that's associated with the Parawing. But this doesn't come with the wing itself. This is an optional extra, and I haven't used one at the moment. I have put one on order, and the reason for that is because of the reports and the photos I've seen of it. Again, this attention to detail, common theme. It looks like an absolute great product. I'll do a full review of that as soon as I've got that out on the water. Now, on the contrary to the good list, the bad list is incredibly short. I really had to scrape the barrel to find things I don't like about this Parawing, but there are a few. The first being that it's the first Parawing that I've used where I've noticed that the bridles can loop around themselves. Now, this isn't a major issue because they do untangle themselves pretty easily, but it is worth noticing because I've not had it with other Parawings. Now, I don't know with this because it's brand new, it needs to be used a little bit, but it certainly has happened a few times, something to watch out for. And then secondly, it's clear that this is a high-end performance product. And as a result of that, I think it needs more TLC than some of the other Parawings out in the market. Now, the reason I say that even on their website, they've got this tuning manual that you can look up. I took one look at that and thought, nah, I'm not interested. There is no way that I am going to be measuring my bridles to make sure it's fully tuned. For me personally, I just want a Parawing that I can just plug and play, throw it up and go. I'm not the sort of person that's going to spend hours tuning. So I hope that that's just for the really technical guys out there, and the majority of us can just use the Parawing and not really have to worry about tuning it. Maybe I'm being naive that something that packs this much performance needs some maintenance. I don't know. Again, I guess time will tell. Okay, so it comes at no surprise that a brand like Ozone that have got a pedigree in paragliding and water sports have made an outstanding Parawing. For me, this is the best Parawing that I've used so far. It ticks all of my boxes that I look for in a Parawing. The attention to detail is just second to none. I have no doubt that I'll be saying the same thing about the next greatest Parawing that comes out in a few months' time. Fly surfer. But I do love the Ozone. It's an incredible wing, so much so that I've actually ordered a few of them for myself to use and enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've got something out of it. Please remember to like and subscribe. Share the video, it really helps me out and my mission to raise money for Bear Cottage. If you've got any questions, type them in below and I will get back to you as soon as possible, and I'll see you on the water again soon. All right.